To be honest, Jiu-Jitsu is not fun at the beginning. And I can totally understand why some people actually drop out at the beginning, like before they even reach the third or fourth stripe. But in saying that, there's a lot to like in Jiu-Jitsu and martial arts altogether. I guess this is the list of mistakes that most white belt makes at the beginning. These are not in any particular order, but it's just a list that I threw together to help any white belts who are having a hard time on the mats, really. So number one is not being consistent with training. So really you should be training about 2 to 3 times a week in the minimal. They say in a lot of curriculum is twice a week. And I would say that twice a week is probably just the bare minimal. If you're doing once a week, it's actually not enough to actually see any noticeable improvement, in my opinion. There might be some people out there who does train once a week and see improvement, but chances are if you're doing once a week, it's a lot of time it's not enough. So I do recommend twice a week at least. And then if you can, do 3 times a week. And then any more than 3 times, if your body can handle it, more than 3 times a week is possible. Obviously that comes down to how much time you have. If you have a family, it's going to be quite difficult to do more than 3 times a week. But whatever it is, you can make it work. Just make sure you train at least twice a week or close to 3 times a week if possible. And this actually leads to number 2, which is overtraining. So like what I said before, this is almost like someone who is binge training. So someone who trains a lot, like just say they train 4 or 5 times a week, and then they can't train for 1 whole week because they're so sore, they're so buggered. And that means they're doing 5 times a fortnight, which isn't a bad number if you think about it. But if you're not training consistently and you're not doing it over and over, like again, it does, your muscle memory does suffer. And if you have a 1 week break, chances are you will forget things. So consistency is king when it comes to jiu-jitsu, really. So if you can have 1 training day and then 1 rest day and another training day, that actually helps. So it does give you the time to recover, but it also gives your body to get used to the motion, the movement, and actually build in all the muscle memory. And number 3 is actually something that I see a lot in white belts, and that is wanting to see results right away. I'm going to be really honest with you, the first 6 months is probably the worst time of jiu-jitsu. It's a period of time where nothing actually sticks and you feel like you're not getting any better. And if you really think about it, everyone starts off there. I don't care whether you're a kickboxer or a boxer or a Muay Thai fighter, whatever it is, anyone who start training jiu-jitsu starts off in that little hole where they don't think they're getting better. And at the beginning, all it really takes is a little bit of grit and being on the mat, being there consistently, whether you're getting smashed or not, whether you're sore or not, just keep going and you will see the end of the tunnel. And I can guarantee you it will be more enjoyable once you've gone past the first 6 months. Number 4, do not compare yourself with other people. I've made plenty of awesome friends on the mats, but there was one friend who sticks out compared to everyone else. And this guy was lacking a lot of self-confidence and didn't see himself training for more than 6 months in this martial art. And that's because he was comparing himself to a lot of people. He will compare himself with people who are much bigger than him, people who are younger than him and more athletic. Now bear in mind, this friend did not do any martial arts or any sports probably when he was younger. So this was probably his first sport that he ever picked up. All I can say is comparing yourself with other people is really unhealthy. Especially if you're just training for a few months, you're not going to expect to actually beat anyone to actually train before you. Someone with as little as 1 month of training can beat up someone who's fresh on the mats. And this is actually not something that you can even argue with or negotiate. It's just gonna happen. When I first started training, I was actually paired up with a girl that was probably 20 kilos lighter than me, and she only been training for a month, and she was whooping my ass. Like, she would choke me out every couple of minutes, and there was actually nothing I can do about it. If I was to compare myself with that girl, I probably would have left and not come back training. But what you really should do is compare your current self with yourself a month ago. If you do this, you should compare yourself right now whether you can beat yourself a month ago. And the answer to that question should be a hell yes, because there is just so much to learn in the first month of jiu-jitsu. The learning curve is so steep that I can guarantee that if you were to fight yourself a month ago, you will beat the person in the past. And from that, you should definitely reflect on what you've learned in that month and why you think you can beat yourself a month ago. And now this brings us to number 5, which is reflecting. Jiu-jitsu is like any martial arts and you should be reflecting. After training, you should definitely set some time on the side to have a bit of reflection. Having these little reflection is awesome for your training. It gives you time to think about how your roll went and what you could have done, and actually how to improve. Because if you don't think about it, you'll never think about it and you'll just be training blind, hoping that your next training session will be better. By having these reflections, it helps you think about what you can focus on in the next training session. Or if you have any questions, you can go ask your coach or actually go search on YouTube. and see if anyone else has the same problem as you. And I can guarantee you there will be someone out there who is also stumped by the same thing that you are. The next one is pretty controversial, which is spazziness. Being a spazzy white belt is not an uncommon thing. Everyone goes through it and everyone needs to overcome it before they become a blue belt. The loose definition of someone spazzy is someone who muscles their way in and out of positions. If they want to get into a certain position, they will muscle their way in. If they're trying to get out of a position, they will muscle their way out. They'll be chasing a submission from everywhere, even in close guard. Even if it's not on, they'll use every muscle in their body to crank the submission. They'll throw everything they have at the training partner and show signs of panic when they are not in a good position. And this is a time when things can actually go bad, because when they panic, they can potentially throw knees and elbows at the training partner. Because when you're panicking, you're actually not in control. And if you're not in control in a combat sport, things can go wrong really quickly. And that's how they get exhausted from just having one roll. So really, if you're aware that you're a spazzy white belt, just make sure that you're breathing properly when you're rolling, stay calm when you're in a bad position, and come up with a good escape plan. Just don't do anything crazy, like eye gouging or fish hooking, twisting the fingers, kicking and punching, and no biting. And then comes number 7, chasing for submissions. I know I briefly spoke about it before, but this is actually really important. Every white belt just wants to win every single round. I know there's nothing wrong with that, but they'll be so fixated and focused on getting a submission that they actually don't even know that they're in trouble. I once had someone in my triangle, and this person was trying to paper cut choke me. I mean, this will work if you're 30 kilos heavier than me. It's just not good practice because it's not going to work on everyone. So needless to say, I actually finished him with my triangle. And when they actually do get into a really good position, and before they can actually control you or even advance to another position, they will actually go and chase for a submission right away. And that actually opens up a lot of space for people to escape or even counter-attack. So my advice is always go for control once you've passed the guard. Once you've got control and they've stopped struggling, then go for submission or advance. Everyone talks about this, and I'm sure every single jiu-jitsu channel on YouTube talks about this. And this is chasing after promotions. Some of the most miserable people on the mats are people who are chasing for promotions. They will compare themselves with people that doesn't even matter. People from other gyms or people from the same gym but train a year earlier. They lose motivation because they see everyone getting striped except for them, and they come to training with a salty attitude. So promotion shouldn't matter, but I do understand why promotion is important. But all I can say is if you don't think about promotions, you'll just have more fun on the mats because you just don't even care about it. And if all you care about is to get better, you'll have a much better time. Number 9, fear of failing and not tapping. Getting tapped out is part of jiu-jitsu. No matter how good you get, tapping out is going to be part of your learning curve. If you're not tapping, you're probably not learning. All I'm going to say is don't be so resistant to tapping, because by tapping out, you get to restart and go again. And of course, tap early, because if you don't tap early, you're going to injure yourself. And if you're injured, you can't train consistently. And tapping out doesn't mean you're failing. It actually means you're succeeding, really. It means you're learning and you're going to be better the next time. And finally, you need to have fun on the mat. Make friends on the mat with higher belts, lower belts, everyone. Chat with people, remember their names. Just don't be weird and creepy. If you have a lot of fun on the mats, it's not going to feel like training or even a chore. You'll feel like something you're doing socially. Some way that you're going to have fun to see friends. Because trust me, the friends that you make on the mats are for life. And if you train with each other for years, there's no reason why you won't have good friendships at the gym. Making friends with higher belts is awesome because you can ask them for tips and they're going to be more than happy to help you and give you more tips. You are essentially getting free coaching. And of course, you should definitely make friends about the same level as you are. By doing this, you can actually have someone to compete with, and it's actually really healthy for the gym. And then further along, you should definitely make friends with lower belts. Being friends with lower belt means that you get to try new things on them, and they're not going to think you're an asshole for it. All I'm going to say is the more friends you have on the mats, the better it is for training. Anyways, that is it from me. I really hope this helps someone out there who's struggling. If you have any questions or if I've left anything out, please leave it in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.